This episode is sponsored by the Home Inspector team. It seems like everywhere you look nowadays, you see new homes popping up all over the place like dandelions in the spring. You have to wonder how well those homes are being built with how fast they're building them. That's where the Home Inspector team comes in. With their new construction bundle, you can have every phase of your new construction home professionally inspected to make sure no mistakes are being made. First, they come out before the drywall is installed to make sure the construction and utility rough-ins are done properly, because once they are out of sight, they are out of mind. Before you move in, they ensure everything is functioning properly and provide essential information to help you maintain the home, safeguarding your family and your investment. And finally, just before the builder's warranty expires, they come in to make sure that everything is A-OK, and if it's not, they make sharing your inspection report with the builder a breeze. Scheduling an appointment with the Home Inspector team is super easy. I just did it myself. Just visit their website, thehomeinspector.team, to get an instant quote and to schedule the inspection at a time that works best for you. And don't forget to mention our podcast to receive a special discount. Now back to the show.
She has been captivating audiences for years with her wit and charm, straight from the networking floor to give you all the dirt. It's Dusta! Hi, y'all, and welcome to another exciting episode of Down Home Dirt, the show where we dive deep into the journey of entrepreneurship with the people who took the plunge and the ups and downs that come with it. I'm your host, Dusta.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Down Home Dirt. This week, we are going to talk to Alison, and we're going to learn all about being a real estate agent. So, Alison, tell us the company that you're with.
Hey, thanks for having me. So I am with LPT Realty, and that is our brokerage that we hang our license with. And then I'm also a partner with a company called Place.
Okay, that sounds awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up, and how long have you been in the Triangle?
Yeah, so I have lived here my entire life. I actually grew up in the Cary area. Lived in various suburbs throughout all of Raleigh. I met my husband actually in middle school. He grew up in the Raleigh area as well. We now live in Wake Forest, but we've lived all different places in North Carolina, just around the Triangle area, and really love this area. So we have never left, but I view that as a good thing because we've never found the need to go anywhere else. So.
No, 100%. North Carolina gives that home feeling.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Sarasota, Florida, big city, and it never really felt like home. It was a great place to grow up, a lot of interesting things, but it just didn't have that like home feeling.
Yes, for sure. And that's what we have found. We have 3 kids, so it's just a really great place for them to, experience childhood and have all the great parks and family-friendly things to do. And so we really love living in the Raleigh area.
No, I agree. That's one of the reasons I came here. Because when I moved here, I had small children, and I wanted them to experience that, because where I'm from, that's just not a thing. And there's so many great things that they have. We love going to like fall time. Oh, all the farms didn't have that where I was growing up. So it's just great to experience the family-friendly events.
Yes, for sure.
So talk about your ready moment that made you jump into being a realtor.
Mm-hmm. So my story is kind of interesting. I was a stay-at-home mom prior to getting into real estate. Actually took pre-licensing and got my license right before the pandemic. So 2020 was my first year in full-time real estate. I was pregnant with my 3rd child, and then my other 2 were young at home. I started a Facebook group right before the pandemic happened. It was kind of a coincidence. I didn't really know the effects that it was going to have on my business taking off. But since I was a stay-at-home mom for so long, I really relied heavily on Facebook groups to connect with other moms and ask questions. And it more so was related to kid stuff and parks and getting together. But I noticed in a lot of those moms groups, there were people asking questions that were moving here, like, what are the best neighborhoods? Where should I look for this? I need a doctor. We just moved here. Where should I look? So I decided to start a group called Relocating to Raleigh. The Facebook group was basically just a resource for anyone who is moving to the Raleigh area, a way to connect them with each other, to let people know that they're not alone in the move and kind of share information and resources about how other people, um, went through the process, things like that. And it took off. So I basically closed my first year in real estate, $15 million in production, just from the Facebook group alone. And then I grew a team. The second year in real estate, I had a team of 4 and we closed 55 million off the Facebook group. So it became a great lead generation source, which I didn't anticipate. That's not why I started it. But I am very passionate about helping people in the Triangle area find their niche place. Just the Triangle is so large and there's so many different areas and places, and not every suburb is for everybody. So I'm very passionate about trying to help people feel at home and find the right community and feel welcome here in the Raleigh area. So now I've been in the business for 4 years. I have a full team, and I absolutely love selling real estate and building the relationships and connections with clients.
I love hearing that because I do look in these groups moving to and relocating and all that. And I always see people asking about that. And it's like, you can't just ask, like, what's the best place to go? Because you have to kind of have a criteria of what you're looking for in
Sure.
order to match it up. And I
Yes.
feel like it's such a broad thing. And you're absolutely right. Every single town is different, has its
Yeah.
own, magic.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it is so dependent on what's important to you as a person looking to move and what you're really after. Like, what are you seeking in your move to North Carolina? Especially after the pandemic, a lot of people didn't have to move because of jobs. So they could work remote or work virtually, but just wanted to live in an area that they enjoyed living in more, or was a better place for their kids, or had more opportunities, or whatever it was. So it really changed the path for a lot of people looking at Raleigh to move to. Um, but yeah, I totally love living in the Raleigh area, and I'm not one of those people who gatekeeps. I want to share it with others. So I really enjoy trying to just help the community and um, make people feel at home when they move here.
No, that's absolutely amazing. I didn't start a group, but I did become an admin and part of a group that has grown tremendously over the 4 years. And it's the Triangle NC Connect for subcontractors and homeowners,
Yeah,
because I think it's really important to have word of mouth referrals when I'm just new here and I need something for my home. So I'm
absolutely.
with you. I
Yeah.
love connecting people.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell me about your support system. Like, who's your biggest supporter and how has having that support helped you practice success?
Yeah, I would have to say my husband for sure. It was, he went to college, he got his degrees, he got his master's degree. He was on the path to, being the sole breadwinner. Um, when I got into real estate, we didn't anticipate what was going to happen. But he definitely dropped, things to make my dreams come true. So, supported me. He was there with all 3 kids, a newborn baby while I'm out showing houses, and really supported me, I guess, in the growth phase of when you're running around just trying to make things happen. And then consistently too, we're very clear about communicating. And I would say any real estate agent getting into the business should be clear with their partner too. Real estate is it's a very rewarding, but also a very tough industry where you're kind of at the mercy of your clients. So when things happen or things come up, you could be on a date and you got to stop and take a phone call. So having those expectations set with your partner and making sure that they fully support you in your decision to go into real estate, I think is a big thing to have conversation about. But yeah, long story short, my husband has definitely been, and my family overall. We have a great network of parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles who all step in and make sure that they're here to support our family when we need it.
That's really great. I love hearing that. I just like to always ask people that question because I feel like that's kind of something nobody thinks about when they want to jump into any type of entrepreneurship.
Yep.
They're just like, oh, okay, oh wait, what about the back end part?
Yes.
So I do
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yep.
So how do you measure success?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I think for me, it would be having the relationships with clients where they continue to come back. It's not just about making money. For me, of course, I don't do this because I want to make money.
Right.
But it's not the most important thing. And making sure that I'm there and providing value and resources for people before even making a paycheck is of utmost importance. So, just hearing from people that they find the resources that I share valuable or thanking me, even if they didn't use me as their agent, just thanking me for the resources that I've provided and telling me how beneficial it's been for them. Like to me, that's success and that's a win, even though it didn't bring a paycheck in. So I would say, yeah, it's more about the relationships and the impact than it is about the money.
Absolutely. And something I've learned just through networking in general is like you meet somebody and they'll remember you even if
Yes.
it's 4 years later. So
Yes.
yeah, you made the connection, but you also possibly made a sale later on life. So that's
Absolutely.
great.
Yep.
And I'm with you on that 1,000%. I love the relationships that I build just by getting out and networking and knowing
Yes.
people.
Yes.
So where do you see yourself in the future?
Well, my hope is to just continue to grow. With each phase of this journey for me, it's opened up new possibilities and new potential. So, for a long time, it was about, me learning the skills and becoming an agent. And then it was me growing a team and helping them become successful. And I would say in the future, it would be more of that. I have really enjoyed the process of coaching and helping agents and helping them get into production and seeing them succeed. Um, the hope is that we continue to grow as a successful team and sell more homes, and that I can help others become successful in the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's one thing that I've noticed with a lot of people who do their own business or do their own thing, that they want to pass on information to the future generations and to someone else and be like, hey, here's where I had a pitfall or whatever. This is how you could be successful. So
Absolutely.
I love that spirit. That's something that really gives me energy and makes me feel good about life.
Yes.
So, talking about your main marketing strategy, you mentioned your group on Facebook. What other marketing strategies do you use?
So my marketing has always been social media. So it started with the Facebook group that now has 11,000 members locally, and then came Instagram, which has 107 or 108,000 followers, and YouTube. We have 3,000 subscribers. So it's all been content related. I basically lead generate through content creation. So a lot of people know me, even though I haven't met them in person. They feel like they know me because they're seeing me talk and they're seeing me post and they're seeing me share information. So they know that I'm an expert in what I'm doing and what I'm talking about. And a lot of times they'll reach out to me and say, we've been watching the everything that you share for the last year. Now we're ready to buy a house. So basically, all of my business has been generated through social media platforms.
That's really amazing. That's what I'm trying to get into now because I realize that like I love reality TV shows. That's like my little guilty pleasure. But I
Yes.
feel like I do know the people. And I've also started listening to a lot of podcasts, and that's where I got the idea, and I thought to myself, well, like if you're not putting yourself out there and you're not sharing your knowledge, you're not showing people what you can do, they don't know.
Yeah, totally.
And so I love that you do that. And that's a really good way to also get your reach more than just like say you said you live in Wake Forest, like it's more than that. You can go everywhere with YouTube. And are
Yes.
you on TikTok, out of curiosity?
I am. TikTok wasn't one of the main focuses. So I actually enjoy TikTok as a consumer a lot.
Me
Um,
too.
but I didn't use it as much for business. So I am going to try to do more in TikTok because I see the obvious potential that I kind of missed the boat on. But definitely going to get into TikTok. I think LinkedIn is an underutilized source for a lot of people. YouTube is by far the best as far as the reach isn't as high as Instagram, but we get a lot better lead sources from YouTube because it's like a search platform. It's like a Google. So, I mean, people are going on YouTube and they're searching moving to Raleigh, and, that's intentional. They're literally going on to search that. So, when a lot of people who are ready to purchase or ready to move are on YouTube. And yep. So anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but but
That's
yeah.
completely okay. I want you to talk more than me.
Yeah, no, social media I think is such an underutilized and tool, and I think we don't quite understand the power that it has or the impact that it's really going to have on our marketing. Being in the influencer type scene now with some of the stuff on Instagram. I think people are starting to see the potential with the kind of reach that a lot of local influencers have. And they treat it like a commercial, basically. But it's just a lot of people, instead of going to TV and watching commercials now, they're on their phones scrolling TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. And so that's the people that they look to for recommendations. So it's just an industry that I think is going to really be a big thing in the future that we haven't quite seen totally unlocked yet.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that people resonate more with the social media presence and people of that because they're real. They're not,
Absolutely.
some network telling you what to do. It's an actual
Yes.
person.
Yes, and I totally think that that has been part of some of my success is I am not a polished agent. I'll show up in leggings and sneakers to show you $1 million house, whatever it is. I'm real and authentic, and you'll never see me in high heels and a power suit just because that's not the type of person that I am. So I think that naturally people are moving towards wanting to see the real and what really goes on, and not just the picture perfect of what we've seen in the past. So
No, I agree. I'm one of those people. I'm like, there's no way that's real. Like, show me what's really going on.
right, totally.
And I love that. I love TikTok so much as a consumer just because like that's why I doom scroll to go to bed at night.
Yes,
And
me too.
I've learned so many things. Even things that may not be true, you can still go Google it and be like, yeah, no, that ain't it. But
Yes.
the point is that the information is there. Definitely double check yourselves.
Yes. Yeah. I've learned a lot of things on TikTok as well. It's surprising.
Is and just even people talking about their stories in life and like things that have happened to them, and you're just like, oh wow, I'm in a similar situation, like I should look into that. And
Yeah.
I think that's so great. I love connecting and sharing. That's why I
Yes.
do this whole thing.
Yes. Yeah. No, totally. It's amazing.
It's so awesome. So what advice was most impactful to help you make the leap into being a realtor?
I think just getting out of your own way, not even just jumping into becoming an agent, but continuously in the business. A lot of people get in their heads about things. Like being on video, worried about how they're going to look or how they sound, or, I don't know what I'm doing. Unfortunately, you have to learn through failure a lot of times. And no matter how much help you have, sometimes you just got to learn the hard lessons. But just knowing that when you are failing or you come upon a failure, or a mistake, I should say, you're just going to grow. So it would just be just do it, just get out of your head and get out of your own way and just do it, and you will figure it out.
Because everything is figure outable. I've heard that.
Absolutely.
I was
Yes.
like, I don't think that's a word, but I'll take it.
Yes. No, totally. I 100% agree. Sometimes it's not the most perfect way of, figuring it out, but it's definitely you get through it.
Well, true. And I always tell everybody, that failure is the door to success. If we're not failing, we're not succeeding, because how do we know that something doesn't work unless we go, oh, look, there's the data, it does not work.
Absolutely. Yep. I think
So,
that's hard because a lot of people are afraid of failing, but just being okay with going through that and knowing that you'll make it out on the other side and it'll be okay.
no, absolutely. I'm with you on that. This isn't my first business that I own, and had I not failed tremendously, horribly, absolutely terribly bad, I would not be like, oh, you know what's a good idea? Not that.
Yes,
Like, it was
absolutely.
bad.
Yes,
It's a learning process for everyone, and
it is.
something that a lot of entrepreneurs I've talked to say that you never stop learning. So
Mm-mm.
don't close your mind off to new information and new ways of doing things.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that no matter how successful I become, I will always have someone else above me that I want to learn and grow from. And I will never achieve that point where I feel like I know everything.
No, and I think sometimes as we age, we're like, "Ah, I just don't have the capacity to learn anything else. I'm getting there. I feel it. But at the same time, I have to remind myself, I'm not the same person. The world's not the same as I was when I was 20.
Yep.
So I have no choice but to go, stop being old. Let's learn this and move on.
Yep.
That's where this whole TikTok thing came in. And I was like, I need to learn how to use that to my advantage.
Yes. No, definitely. Yes. Yep.
So I
And
absolutely love
there's going to be all kinds of new stuff that we're constantly going to have to learn.
Yeah, I remember when Facebook was like farmland essentially. You just go on and you like posted a few things, and now there's like AI and they're with Instagram, and you're just like, oh, okay.
I know.
Like, it's a lot. But
It is.
do you remember MySpace? Because I remember that
I
too.
do. Yes, I remember. Yep. I
The
do.
top. So, what advice would you give someone who's wanting to take the leap into being a realtor?
I would say talk to other agents. A lot of people get into the business and the failure rate is honestly pretty high because I think people have a um, not a proper view of what it's really like to be an agent. So, because of TV shows and all of the things that put being a realtor on a pedestal, with Selling Sunset and things like that, where you're just showing beautiful houses and all dressed up and everything's so great, that is not what real estate is. Um, but real estate is so much more than that, and it's so much more rewarding than what that shows. But it's also a commitment. I mean, in my opinion, real estate, being a real estate agent is very difficult field to get into without it taking over a part of your life. You have to truly be passionate and love houses, love people, love the relationships, all of those things because it really takes over like your thoughts all the time. You'll lay up at night and think, all of these things about what you have to do. And so I would say just talking to other agents and getting the real glimpse and understanding of what it is like to be an agent so that you don't go through the path of getting all the licensing and paying all the, fees for the courses and all of that stuff just to find that it wasn't what you thought.
No, absolutely. Would you mind sharing what a day in the life of a real estate agent is?
It's crazy.
So it's just chaos all day.
Yeah. You know, it's having to stop and drop everything at any moment, putting out fires. It's shielding the drama in the transaction. There's just so many things that go wrong, and truly people view us as, we just open doors. But we do so much more than that. And if you have a good agent, then you shouldn't see us as anything else besides opening doors because we're holding everything together and we don't get you involved for you to know that we're doing anything more than that. Um, so I mean, my husband, for example, I don't know if you're familiar with the DISC profile, but he is a very high C and high S. So he likes structure and stability and all of those things. And I am the total opposite. And I'm successful, I think, in real estate because I can shift and pivot at any moment. I can brainstorm, and think about outside of the box solutions. Um, I can, just think on my feet. And that is kind of the mindset that you have to have. You can't always be planning ahead because it's tough to plan ahead. So, that's not a good answer for your question, but basically, being the life of a real estate agent on a daily basis is lots of phone calls, lots of putting out fires, and just trying to make it through the transaction.
No, absolutely. And it is a very emotional transaction, which I
Mhm.
didn't realize. I only own one home. It's my first home. And while I love my home, it breaks my heart because it doesn't fit our family anymore. And so now I've got to bring all of that in a suitcase and bring it to you and be like, hey, I have all of these emotions. Could you help me figure this out? And you have to be like the calm one.
Yes. No, definitely. And I think that, there's so much involved with that, with especially with since we work with a lot of relocation clients, like moving from another state, moving your whole family, like your stuff is in limbo. You're trying to figure out how you're going to close out on a house there and move into a new one, and there's so many moving parts. So it's more than just being there to help with the transaction. It's also being there as a support system and kind of like a therapist to go through some of the different emotional things and help people think logically in an emotional situation, and really guiding them and helping them through that process.
Which is amazing. So I brings me to my next question. What do you do for self-care so that you don't take on all of this other, emotions and things like that?
It's hard. It's hard. I say early on in when I first started, um, I wasn't good about it. I was always on the clock, always responding. Everything was an emergency. I really put a lot of the stress on myself, that things were going on. But I've learned in time that like it'll be okay. Like if I don't drop everything and handle it right this very moment, it'll still be okay in an hour or in 2 hours or whenever it is. So really guarding some of my time with my family, or if I need to go get my nails done and need to shut my phone off for an hour, those types of things to just guard your mental space. And sometimes you do have to just shut it off. And that doesn't mean that you're not providing a great service for your clients.
No, absolutely. I think that boundaries are very important, especially when you're dealing with people.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
sounds like you're setting really good boundaries and making sure that you're making time for yourself and your family. And that's really good advice. I love that because I
Yeah.
am the same way when it comes to being an entrepreneur. I was like, anyone's my client,
Yes.
anytime the phone rings. And that leads to burnout
Yes.
really quickly.
It
And you'll
does.
begin to hate it.
Yes. And, I was like that because it was frustrating for me dealing with before I was an agent, when I was trying to buy a house, I didn't feel like I could get timely responses from agents, and that was frustrating. But I think if you have the proper support and the proper team behind you and know that they are capable of handling things, that you can really shut off, for a little bit, it's important to have that network.
No, absolutely. That's why I always like to highlight that because when I first started being an entrepreneur, I had one person in my corner and it was my daughter and she
Mhm.
was 14 at the time. So I was trying to do that, juggle three kids, and I was going through a divorce at the same time. So
Yeah.
that was all fun.
Yes.
So I didn't realize, but I actually started to network and I got into Tang, and those people in that networking group became like family to me
Mhm.
because A, I didn't have any, and B, I was going through a hard time, but we were all trying to build our businesses, stay sane, and deal with COVID at the same time.
Yes.
So I definitely recommend like connecting and reaching out to others, especially people in your field, because there's no such thing as competition. We're just all doing the same job. It's just whether or not your skills are better than theirs sometimes, and that's
Mhm.
how it is.
Yeah, totally.
It's not better, but just different, and you can offer different things.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm definitely all about collaboration. I don't view things, I think it's important as an entrepreneur to have a growth mindset, to always view people as, like what can we do to help each other? Um, And even if they're in the same business, if they're a real estate agent as well, like I still think it's beneficial, and, building those relationships is important.
No, I agree. And one of my biggest things is they're never competition, because the thing is that if, say, we got into that mindset and someone is doing it cheaper than me, that doesn't necessarily mean it's better, but that also kind of lowers the bar on what people think they should expect to pay for it. And I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
We should never be the cheapest. We should do, our compensation should match our skill level.
Yeah, totally. Totally
And I
agree.
think that everyone's different for that reason. And I just want to highlight that, because I feel like a lot of people just look at you and they're like, well, I could go with this person and pay less. Well, yes, but what are you getting for that?
Yes, absolutely.
So I really appreciate you talking to me about that today. So do you have any really good networking tips you'd like to give to anyone listening?
No, not really. I mean, my networking is really just been getting to know people, like just having conversations, just reaching out, seeing what resources or value I can provide for them and what they can provide for me, and just helping each other along in this process and journey of being an entrepreneur.
No, absolutely. That's great advice. I'll always be the most interested person in the room. You're
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Because you never know what you can learn. I say that the education is always free. You just have to pay attention.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
So tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay, so if you would like any real estate help, we are the W Real Estate Group. Our phone number is 919-504-5265. If you're looking to move either to the Raleigh area or even within the Raleigh area, definitely check out our social media platforms. They are all called Relocating to Raleigh. So, Relocating to Raleigh is a Facebook group, an Instagram page, and also on YouTube.
I am so excited. Didn't know you did YouTube, so I'm going to go and watch that, because I didn't know that at all. So that's good information.
Yep.
And do you have any advice for anybody wanting to relocate to Raleigh?
Definitely connect with a really good advisor. I have worked with many people that have worked with other agents when they originally moved here. And, unfortunately, there's a lot of real estate agents that specialize in just one specific neighborhood, which is totally fine. But what that does is, they don't have the same knowledge or information to share with people who are moving to the area outside of that specific neighborhood. So I've had a lot of clients that have moved here and were just put in the wrong neighborhood or area for what they were actually looking for and did not enjoy living there. So taking your time, really getting to explore, really talking to not just agents, but people in the community. Join the groups, join Facebook groups, the moms groups, the community groups, wherever it is, and just ask questions so that you can find the right place for you and for your family and feel confident in your decision.
Absolutely. I'll just tell you this real quick. When I moved to Clayton, I was living up in Wake Forest, and I only wanted to move to Johnston County because it was way cheaper than where I was living. And so I was like, cool. I did not do the research, and I ended up with a real estate. I love her, by the way. She got me the best deal. She was absolutely an amazing human being, but she didn't know anything about the area. So I'd ask her questions, and she'd be like, well, I only work in Wake Forest. I don't know. And I was like, well, this was a tough time in my life. If anybody knows, I was married to the wrong human being, and it was an abuse situation. So I just was like, she's trying to help me. And there were times when I would be like, oh, he's going to try and take the house from me if we divorce. And she looked at me and she'd be like, here's the deal. I'm going to make sure that you get the house. You're going to make sure you put your name on it. You're going to make sure it's somewhere you want to live. And we're going to go from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she fought for so many great things for us. So I agree with you. Like, make sure you talk to people and ask the questions, and make sure it's somebody from the area who's familiar with it. Because even though she didn't know, she still did an amazing job.
Yep. Yeah, no, totally. And sometimes your agent might not know, but they might have resources to connect you with people who do. So it's not that your realtor should know everything. I think it's okay to say, I don't know the answer to that. But making sure that you have the connections to be able to help your clients and point them in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely. And also research your home inspector, research your insurance companies, because these are things that I didn't know anything about it. And they were like, "Do you have a preferred?" And I was like, no, but they were able to give me the resource.
Yes.
So, I mean, but no, now that I've been through it all, I understand it better. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense,
Yes.
because
Yes.
I just had my home inspected last weekend, and I highly recommend. One of our sponsors is the home inspector team, and they came out and they did a very thorough job, and they told me of things that I needed to know. And so make sure you guys are getting it done once a year, not just when you're buying it.
Yeah,
That's an
absolutely.
investment.
Yes. And Charlie with the home inspector team is wonderful.
He is absolutely amazing, very thorough, and they offer warranties, and you can get an instant quote online, guys. So check
Yep.
out thehomeinspector.team for your free instant quote.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today and doing this podcast, and I really appreciate you coming out. And guys, you can join us again next week for another amazing episode of Down Home Dirt.